Why, as women, do we have such unhealthy relationship with ourselves? Why are we so unhappy? Why are we so insecure and lack confidence in ourselves? I like to explain it from understanding that men and women are wired differently. And that's why I have a different solution for women and a different solution for men in our relationships and in our marriage. And there's a photo that I like to use. On the left side, at least how I'm looking at it, it's my left side. On the husband's brain or a man's brain, men are pragmatic and they are problem solvers. And then on the right side, where it says a wife's brain, or we could substitute and say a woman's brain, the tracks are going every which way. And that's because as women, we are highly emotional and we make ourselves very complex and very complicated beings. And then society and therapy and the books we read and talking to our friends all validate and enable this belief in ourselves that we are highly complex, highly emotional, and complicated. And it is this belief that we are emotional and complex and complicated that we as women have such an unhealthy relationship with ourselves and so unhappy. As women, buying into this belief that we are highly emotional causes us to have low emotional intelligence in life, meaning we are not in control of our emotional state. Whereas on the other hand, men are wired to be pragmatic. They're wired to be problem solvers. So they are in the best way simple and move into a solution-oriented way of thinking to find solutions to the problems that come up in life. As women, we've made ourselves so complicated and so complex that we don't go into problem solving. We get trapped and stuck in our emotional state. And we don't realize that that low emotional intelligence, that inability to be in control of our emotional state, feeds our victim stories of why we have low self-esteem, why we can't seem to get ourselves together, why we feel like we don't know who we are, why we feel disconnected or a sense of emptiness in ourselves. And we live life as victims, meaning believing that our experience of ourselves has happened to us, that our life is happening to us, and it's someone or something else like our husbands who are responsible for our unhappiness. And in this place, when we are victims, we can't change. And when we allow our external world, like our husband, our marriage, our career, our kids, our family, to be in control of our experience, we give our power away and we have no ability to change. And we stay stuck in having low emotional intelligence. What we don't realize is that it isn't the people and things in our lives that cause our experience. It is the internal experience of ourselves, our internal emotional state that creates the experience that we have of our different relationships, like our marriage, our career, our kids, etc. That determines the lens and the perspective of which we see and view our lives. And as women living in low emotional intelligence and putting the power outside of us to the people and things to determine our experience of ourselves, that's where we get caught in constantly blaming our husbands and looking to what is it about them and who they are and how they are showing up or not showing up that's causing the experience that we're having of our marriages and that we're having of ourselves. And we never realize that it's the unhealthy relationship that we have with ourselves, buying into this myth and idea that we are complex, highly emotional, and that's just how we live our lives. And that's just how we are. That's the very thing driving us to have an unhealthy relationship with ourselves. Because when we are not in control of our emotional state and we are living in low emotional intelligence, we live from an internal state of being sped up, emotional, worried, creating problems in our lives, and living in blame, which again, from that place, then we can never change. So what happens is we watch ourselves make the same unhealthy choices, have the same unhealthy reactions to life, and we feel very bad about ourselves. And we begin to feel, because we never change, because we're living in victim and putting the power and control outside of ourselves. We never change because it's impossible to change as a victim. So what happens is we watch ourselves make those same unhealthy choices, have those same unhealthy reactions, is we begin to think there's something wrong with us, that there's something about us that we just can't change, and we're defected in some way. And that at the core of that, we feel internally that we are wrong, that who we are is wrong and bad. So the solution of what us as women need to do to build a healthy relationship with ourselves and to be happy, so that then we can have a happy marriage and a healthy, happy, loving relationship with our husbands, is that we have to learn to develop high emotional intelligence, the ability to be in control of our emotional state, to recognize that our emotional state is coming from us, that it's not happening to us because of our past or our relationship with our dad or from our husband or anything or anyone else in our lives, that it is our response to life that creates our internal emotional state. So we have to learn to be in control of that, which is developing high emotional intelligence. And that's what I teach women how to do in my happiness program, and then in a more advanced way in my Happy Wife program. But the foundation first, before a woman can work on her marriage and work on what I call being a happy wife, we have to have the foundation of being happy within ourselves, meaning knowing how to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, learning how to develop high emotional intelligence and have healthy responses and reactions to life, and be able to see the truth of our husbands in our marriage and to see them as good, to see them as good men and how they do show up caring and loving and kind. It's only our relationship with ourselves that makes us see it any differently. And what we want to understand is that underneath the complexity that we have built ourselves to be as women, what we want to understand is that is not our true nature. And when we live from that perspective of being not in control of our internal emotional state and having low emotional intelligence, it covers up the true nature of who we are as women. So the beauty is that when we learn to develop high emotional intelligence, we unlock the true nature of who we are internally. And what you will find, and this is what I found for myself, is that we are simple, happy, calm, grounded, genuinely flexible and easygoing, stable, adaptive, soft, kind. And we can live from what I call our woman wisdom, the ability to understand ourselves, the ability to understand how we make issues and challenges complex and project our high emotional state onto situations so that we can catch ourselves and actually train ourselves to go into problem solving and being pragmatic so that we are not reacting to life from a place of not being in control of our emotional state. And what happens when we train ourselves to do that, and we have the capacity, it's already in us. There's nothing we're missing. There's nothing that happened to us as kids or happened to us in our upbringing that would prevent us from being able to be in control of our emotional state. What happens when we live from that place of high emotional intelligence is we begin to feel good about who we are. And we begin to be confident in ourselves. We begin to trust ourselves and learn to navigate life from a place of being pragmatic and from a place of being able to problem solve, which just makes us feel that much better about ourselves because we show ourselves that we are important to ourselves, that we matter, that we already have everything we need within ourselves to be successful and navigate life. And that all comes from being in control of our emotional state.